Hello everyone, my name is Breelyn, and today I'll be refuting Carol's claim that social media has a negative impact on adolescents' body image. Her secondary claims are that social media's links to body image, fitness and wellness accounts are the most damaging for both genders, and the younger the user, the greater impact social media has on body image. So back to our first secondary claim, which is that social media has links to body image. There is a problem with all these claims, is that she only provides evidence for girls. There is zero evidence addressing boys throughout the claims. And her initial claims that social media has a negative impact on adolescents' body image, which includes both girls and boys. So her first secondary claim began with a quote from Time magazine saying that psychologists found cross-cultural evidence linking social media to concerns about body image. The advocate claimed that it doesn't mean social media causes a problem, but that there is a strong association between them. The advocate failed to explain the distinction between not completely causing body image issues and the association between the two. The advocate also claimed that girls report body image problems and eating disorders than boys, and that studies showed that both were equally damaged by social media. But the advocate fails to back up the claim with any factual evidence that both girls and boys are equally damaged. An article from the Huffington Post stated that about 1 in 10 eating disorders occur in males, but according to Raymond Lingberg, an Arizona clinical psychologist and expert in the area, stated that newer research suggests that the real ratio is probably closer to 1 in 4. Now to her secondary claim, which is that fitness and wellness accounts are the most damaging for both genders. The advocate was not specific in the claim on how these fitness and wellness accounts are the most damaging for both genders. She does mention how the increasing drive for wellness and clean eating has become the cover for dieting deprivation, but fails to provide concrete evidence on how both genders are damaged. An article from the Huffington Post stated that eating disorders tend to manifest differently in girls and boys, although both are seeking to fit in with what they see as a societal ideal. Rather than wishing to be thinner, as young females often do, young males obsess over becoming highly muscular. Now to her third secondary claim, which is that the younger the user, the greater the impact social media has on body image. With this claim, she is suggesting that the younger the child, the more impact it will have from social media relating to their body image. An article from the Huffington Post found that more often than not, eating disorders emerge close to puberty, but they can also develop in younger children. Jennifer Hangman, a child psychologist and medical director of Eating Disorders Program at Children's Hospital Colorado, said that her youngest patient she has seen in practice was 5 years old. She also told the Huffington Post that they, the younger children, aren't as likely as teenagers to have an overt drive for thinness. They don't really know why they're refusing to eat enough to be healthy, but they have difficulty completing meals. The advocate also cites evidence at the Park Nolet Melrose Center, a clinic that focuses on treating dysfunctional body image and eating disorders, found a correlation to the amount of time spent on social media. The advocate stated that there was a study called Body Image Issues Among Girls and Women, and that 20% of 9-year-olds and 40% of 14-year-olds admitted to wanting to lose weight. Once again, the advocate failed to provide evidence for a study or survey done for boys that have problems with body image and eating disorders. A new study of a national sample of adolescent boys published in the January issue of JAM Pediatrics reveals that nearly 18% of boys are highly concerned about their weight and physique. Of the boys who were highly concerned with their weight, about half were worried only about gaining more muscle, and approximately a third were concerned with both thinness and muscularity simultaneously. Meanwhile, less than 15% were concerned only with thinness. Those statistics reflect a major difference between boys and girls when it comes to weight concerns, whereas girls want to be thinner, and boys are as likely to feel pressure to gain weight as to lose it. So in conclusion, the advocate failed to prove that social media has links to body image, fitness and wellness accounts are the most damaging for both genders, and that the younger the user, the greater the impact social media has on body image. Thank you.
All right, the structural stuff is fine. A lot of the argument seems to be focusing on this, that there's a we're not seeing the same sort of data for boys that we're seeing on girls, and that's a reasonable press to make, although I think you need to explain why that matters in the long run. How does it impact it? You had one place where you're presenting some statistical information that says, oh, it's not 1 to 10, it's 1 to 4, and I'm thinking, well, okay, so how does that demonstrate the point that you're presenting here? I didn't think that that was very clearly explained. On the second point on these fitness and wellness accounts, the fact that there is a different focus on what it is that they're looking for, That seems reasonable too. But does that mean that social media had no impact on that? I'm not sure. I get the feeling that there's not really a focus on the broader picture, that you're looking at particulars of the information that the advocate's presenting and trying to find things to pick at instead of maybe looking at the bigger picture. For instance, I thought that we were suffering from a crisis of obesity in this country among children, and apparently the argument that the advocate is running is the exact opposite of that, that we got a bunch of kids that won't eat and they're starving themselves to death or having some sort of a problem. How can both of those things be true simultaneously with the widespread use of social media? I think there's probably a good argument here to be made that says social media has different effects on different people, and the idea that we could blame or suggest that it's a causative factor for most people is really problematic, because obviously we get the opposite result despite the fact that people are exposed to the same kind of media. So I just think you need to maybe pull back a little bit. I appreciate that you're trying to focus on criticizing the specific information that the advocate's citing, but I think there's some big picture arguments here that are not being presented. And I'm not sure that the picking that you do on the individual points, both 1, 2, and 3, leads to the conclusion that social media has no impact on this. At best, it suggests that the data that we've been presented with so far doesn't suggest what that impact is or why it is greater with one group than another. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it has no impact. So I think that that's a little bit problematic to prematurely decide that. All right. Thank you all very much.